Across the Channel, Prince Charles joined the congregation at Glasgow's cathedral. In Kent, Prince Harry unveiled a memorial to those who showed such bravery in battle. He then retraced the steps taken by thousands of men to boats which took them to the Western Front. Tragically many, they never returned home. Later in the day, Harry joined Will and Kate and other world leaders for more commemorations in Belgium. Ensuring the world will never forget the outbreak of war would claim 16 million lives. Amelia Ballinger, 9 News, Belgium.
You're watching 9's Afternoon News, and these are our top stories. A Thai surrogate who gave birth to Australian twins says she'll try and get her daughter back if the child is unhappy or unsafe. Now, that follows new allegations about the child's reported father. We will go live to Thailand shortly. The Prime Minister has announced a $630 million boost to our spy and counter-terrorism agencies to fight homegrown terror groups. And the Sydney mum has been arrested after a schoolyard altercation between 2 young children at Cabramatta. Well, the surrogate of baby Gammy, who was allegedly abandoned in Thailand by his Australian parents, has now reacted to the news that the biological father was jailed for indecent dealing with children in the past. Tracy Bell joins us now, and Tracy, just take us through what she's had to say.
Well, Davina, the 21-year-old surrogate mother wanted to respond to the WA couple's denials of never having known Gammy. Koi Chambua wanted to tell everyone that she's telling the truth, and in her words, only those who lie should be the one who should be worried. She also said she was shocked by news that the father has a criminal history. In 1998, he was convicted over indecent dealings with a child under the 13 years of age. It's also come to light that there have been 2 more offences against his name. The surrogate mother was questioned if she had any concerns with the baby girl, supposedly Gammy's twin sister, who is in Australia with this WA couple. She was asked whether she wanted to have her back. She said she'd be happy to have her back and welcome her back into her young family if she wasn't happy in Australia. We also received an update on baby Gammy here at hospital, and it is very good news, Davina. His lungs are better, his fever is down, and his heart condition, his heart is actually looking in pretty good shape considering he has a congenital heart condition, and he should be out of hospital within 4 days, Davina.
Yeah, that's good news, Tracy. Thank you. Well, the Abbott government has this afternoon ramped up how it's going to tackle the problem of Australians heading overseas to fight with terror groups. Let's go to Kerry Axley in Canberra with the details. And Kerry, just take us through these key changes.
Davina, these laws target Australian jihadists in large part, including those who are fighting overseas alongside groups like ISIS in Iraq and Syria. It will now be an offence to travel to a battle region without a valid reason. Also, it will be easier for authorities to arrest, detain and question terror suspects. The Foreign Minister will have greater powers to cancel the passports of anyone suspected of planning to head overseas and associate with these terrorist groups. Have a listen now to the Prime Minister explaining the current terrorist threat.
What we are now acutely conscious of is the danger posed back here in Australia by people returning to this country who have been radicalised and militarised by the experience of working with terrorist organisations overseas. I stress that the terrorist threat here in this country has not changed. Nevertheless, it is as high as it's ever been.
Well, Kerry, what's been the reaction so far then?
Well, Davina, the government needs the Parliament to support these changes for them to become law, and Labor leader Bill Shorten spoke a short time ago. He says he will consider the laws, but says that the government needs to get the balance right here between strong national security and respecting people's rights and privacy.
It is most important that in the pursuit of national security that we make sure that we respect the concerns of not treating ordinary Australians as criminals.
Now, also today, the Prime Minister announced that he won't scrap laws which make it unlawful to offend people based on their ethnicity. This was always going to be a very controversial move, and Labor has described it as a back down and a victory for people power. Davina.
Kerry Ackley in Canberra, thank you. Well, there's been a brazen daylight robbery outside a New South Wales shopping centre with a security guard held up at gunpoint. Police say the man stole an amount of cash when the guard attempted to deliver money to a bank at East Maitland in the Hunter region this afternoon. No shots were fired and no one was hurt. Police have established a crime scene. They're conducting a major search now for the offender. Well, good news for mortgage holders with no change to interest rates today from the Reserve Bank. The cash rate remains at 2.5%, the historic low reached this time last year. An interest rate rise isn't expected before early next year. To Sydney now, where a schoolyard altercation between two young students has ended with a mother being arrested. Let's go to Gabrielle Boyle. She joins us from outside Cabramatta Police Station. And Gabby, just take us through what happened.
Davina, a 41-year-old mother from the Cabramatta area is currently inside Cabramatta Police Station here assisting detectives with their inquiries. The suggestion is that it was around 8:50 a.m. this morning that she was doing her school drop-off when she's witnessed some type of argument between two kindergarten boys, one of her own and another child. The allegation will be likely that she stepped in and became involved in this argument. She's assisting police with the exact details of what's happened here. Police aren't ruling out the possibility that charges, in fact, would be laid, and we'll bring you more details as this unfolds this afternoon, Davina.
Yes, still very much developing at the moment, Gabby. She will have the latest for 9 News viewers in Sydney at 6 o'clock. Well, a breakthrough now in a case that's baffled police for 40 years. A mother and her two daughters went missing in 1974 and are thought to have been murdered. Today, officers raided two rural properties west of Brisbane and found new evidence. Nine's reporter Michael Best joins us from outside the Queensland Police headquarters in Brisbane. Michael, take us through what they found.
Well, Davina, they've recovered documents and some other evidence, physical evidence from these two properties near Warwick that are owned by a man named Vincent O'Dempsey. Now, it's been more than 4 decades since Barbara McCulkin and her two daughters, Vicky and Leanne, disappeared from their home at Highgate Hill on Brisbane's south side. Their bodies have never been found, they've never been seen again. But back in 1980, Vincent O'Dempsey and another man, Gary Dubois, were charged with murder after a coronial inquest into their suspected murders. Those charges were later dropped. The police never gave up. They launched a review of this case earlier this year on the 40th anniversary of the disappearance, and so after that, they've received new evidence from right around the country. They've conducted interviews in a number of states, and today that led them to an alpaca farm and the home of Vincent O'Dempsey on the outskirts of Warwick. Now, officers say they recovered a number of items during raids today, and Mr O'Dempsey and Mr Dubois remain the main persons of interest in this case.
We're sort of not ruling out anything. There's two principal persons of interest that we've been focusing our investigations on. We do believe that a number of other persons know of what's occurred in relation to Barbara and her two daughters.
Davina, they're trying to flush out all the information that they can, and there is a $250,000 reward for any information that leads to a conviction in this case. Police have described today as a turning point. Very interesting after a crime that has remained unsolved for more than 4 decades. So far, there are no arrest warrants or any charges that have been laid. The police say they would like to formally interview Mr O'Dempsey in the coming days. Davina?
Yeah, they're extraordinary developments, Michael. Thank you. Well, a Victorian woman accused of using the state's motorways free of charge for more than 4 years is faced court in Melbourne. Let's go live to our reporter Andrew Nelson. And Andrew, just take us through how much money this woman allegedly owes.
Well, Davina, this woman allegedly owes nearly $350,000. Her name is Isabel Weir. She's a 27-year-old from Melbourne's southeastern suburbs. Now, the allegations against her are that she used Melbourne's Eastlink and CityLink toll roads for 4 years, from 2009 to 2013, without paying a cent. Now, 1,200 warrants were issued against her, all of which were unpaid. That's on top of reminder notices, as well as late notification letters, all which were allegedly ignored. Now, Isabel Weir faced Dandenong Court today, where she was remanded. It was adjourned to October for psychological tests, as well as evidence gathering, the breakdown of those fines and the administration fees attached to them. Now, of course, we did try to speak to Isabel Weir outside court today, Davina. She wasn't in the mood to talk to our cameras. All the other drivers in Melbourne are doing the right thing. Why should you be behaving any different? Davina, if Isabel Weir is convicted, she could face 6 years jail. Now, the alternative, of course, is the magistrate choosing to dismiss all of those fines. And this is proving to be a very expensive problem for Victorian authorities. Some $450 million owed in unpaid toll fines last financial year. So certainly a problem that's not going away. We'll be following this case very closely indeed. Davina?
Okay, Andrew, thank you. Well, sport time now with Corey Norris, who's in Melbourne. Good afternoon, Corey.
Yeah, good afternoon, Davina. Coming up, we cross live to the Gold Coast, where the Titans make a huge announcement regarding their coach. And Geelong star Steve Johnson learns his fate at the AFL Tribunal.
A 9-month-old baby critically injured in a Melton House grubby Facebook post forced the Liberal Party candidate to quit. New information on the criminal past of Gammy's biological father. The woman accused of racking up $300,000 worth of traffic fines. Point at Ian recreates the first shot of World War I at the hidden charges when you tap and go. Tonight on 9 News.
The McFeast is back home.
Macca's run.
Two McFeast burgers.